Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting day of masterclasses hosted by the IAPC&M. I'm your host, Elena Nedeva, APC, and I'm delighted to be here with you. We have dedicated today, September 11th, to 5 webinars that will support each coach on their coaching journey, establishing their coaching business. We are starting with Donna McGrath, who will walk us through how to identify the niche each coach is truly great at. Up next at 11:30 a.m. UK time, we host the confidence king, Ian Norton, who will share how to embody authentic confidence as a coach by understanding what true confidence feels and looks like in your body, energy, and presence. At 1:30 p.m. UK time, we will welcome Marie-Louise O'Neill. She will unravel how each coach can use Canva to transform their coaching business, saving time, having fun, and creating professional content with ease. At 3:30, Rajiv Nayak will walk us through the approach to understand how each coach can strategically grow their coaching business through understanding the 5 key pillars of business strategy, crafting a sustainable business model that aligns with your energy and vision, and designing a strategic roadmap for growth and long-term success. And the final speaker of the day at 5:30 p.m. is Lindsay Cowan. Her masterclass is for new coaches who want to set up their business the smart way with the right tech, systems, and sales strategies from the start. As a reminder, this masterclass is recorded, so to ensure quality of the recordings, please mute your microphones, but keep the videos on. This session is going to be interactive, so please feel free to unmute yourselves when you would like to ask a question or put it in the chat. I will read it out loud for everyone. We also encourage you to fill in your CPD logs with takeaways and ideas. So please grab your notepads, sit back, listen, and enjoy. Today with us is Donna McGrath. She's the UK's leading coach and mentor for in-house lawyers. As a former FTSE 100 250 solicitor, Donna now works with legal leaders and teams to become more strategic, commercially impactful, and mentally resilient. Drawing on over 16 years' experience in high-pressure corporate legal environments, she now partners with general counsel and senior legal professionals to elevate their influence, sharpen their leadership, and build legal functions that deliver real business value. So without further ado, over to you, Donna.
Thank you so much, Elena. Before we start, do you mind sharing the live link in the chat so I can share with some of my people on LinkedIn as well, so they can get the full advantage of this learning, and I can pop that out. Thank you, everyone. Hi, everyone. So we're going to do this like an interview style, aren't we? Elena, where you're just going to ask me some questions. So I don't have a big presentation. This is going to be more conversational. If you have any questions that's very unique to you and your business, please feel free to come in and ask. But because we've got 45 minutes, what I've done is I have offered up some sessions after this, so you can come and speak to me directly if you want real help to get real clarity on what your niche should be and what your marketing position should be before you go into the strategy sessions later this afternoon. It's like we start from here and then we grow throughout the day.
Thank you, Donna. So please tell us a little bit about you and your businesses.
Okay, well, thank you. So as Elena has already said, like, I'm a coach like you guys. I'm no more better at being a coach. You're probably better coaches than me. But one thing that I do have behind me is a market that I worked in for a very long time that knew me, and that market was the legal world. And as Elena said, I worked in basically I worked in big businesses, lawyers that within big businesses as opposed to lawyers that are in firms. And while I was in those roles, well, in my early career, I had a lot of pain points in my career, being overwhelmed, feeling undervalued and not heard in the role. But I learned how to overcome those issues. And then I started to help other people within my sector while I was in role to overcome dealing with loads of work and putting a framework in place so we could say no and take away the pressure. And from there, I actually realized there was no one out on the market actually helping in-house lawyers to do this. We weren't taught it in law school. We didn't have business skills. Well, I did. I was lucky I had business skills because I'd done a business GNVQ. So I had an advantage. And what I'd done then was I saw a gap in the market and a gap in the sector that needed help. So what I done was I realized actually in order to help these people, I've got some of the hard skills, but there was some skills that I didn't have, which is like coaching and how to get people to do the things that I knew that would get them results. So I went away and I learned how to be a coach through Master Coach, which is an accredited program through the IAPC&M. So that was in 2019. I retrained, sorry, it was 2018, I retrained. And then just before COVID, I decided to set up my own business like a bloody idiot. I didn't know what was coming down the line, obviously. So I don't know if any of you guys, put your hands up. Like, have you started out your business like that, where, you maybe realized there was a gap in the market and then you built a business towards that? Like, hands up if you've done that. Or did you go a different way about it? Sam, like, for example, what way did you do that?
Hang on a minute. Okay, well, I'm actually a health coach and natural health and well-being coach. So I focus my business all around holistic dentistry because I'm a coach and a therapist, combining the two to actually bring around regulation in the body, but also optimize people's well-being, but also bring them into spiritual alignment. So I kind of.
And what was your background before that, Sam?
My background was in I worked in medicine. I worked in.
So like me, you had an industry.
I suppose, yeah, I did start off. Yes.
Yeah. So this is one of the key messages that I'm going to give to you guys today. If you've got an industry that you already know, you're already set up for success. I went to an event with Expert Empires. I don't know if you've ever heard of those guys. They help people set up expert coaching businesses. Well, not just coaching businesses, other businesses. And I asked the key speaker, who was Alan Sugar. He didn't understand me because I was from Northern Ireland. But I did ask him, where do I start? And he said, start with what you know. So when we talk about niching, a lot of people tend to go off into something new and something different, where you've sat with a pot of gold right in front of you. So I would ask you to think about, what is that pot of gold for you? Mine was the legal market. They knew me. I started there. That is your low-hanging fruit. So what I went on ahead to do was set up the in-house lawyers coach because I was an in-house lawyer. So the people who I was working with could identify that I actually helped them because it was in the name. And then after working with them over a few years, I have realized that I had ADHD. Didn't know that. And I've been diagnosed formally this year, but I knew it like over the last few years with all the awareness out there. So I just thought to myself, my goodness, I've got ADHD. And I started to learn more about myself. And I realized more about ADHD. And in actual fact, the skills that I was great at and other lawyers struggled with was because of my ADHD. So what I learned was there's something about me that's slightly different to everybody else that I thought, my God, how do I bring that into my business to make me stand out from a busy crowd? So here comes a little bit of a lesson. It's like, how are you learning more about you along the journey that you can bring in to make you stand out differently? Because what I also do now, I realize that I help in-house lawyers, but I also help general lawyers to build those commercial and business skills because I've got those skills myself naturally through having ADHD. So I've taken that part of me to make me unique. So my question to you is, what have you learned about yourself along your journey that makes you you, that you could put into your marketing and niche to make you think, well, actually, I'm like Oliver is actually really different to Sam because Oliver's selling Oliver and Sam's selling Sam. So all of a sudden, your market is smaller. Your niche is smaller, but your market's smaller. And then when you're in that space, that's whenever you become a little bit more, you stand out a little bit more. Does that make sense? So my question to you is, what do you think that what maybe you have learned across your coaching business? I'm going to ask someone who's got their camera off. Katie. What are you there, Katie? Are you with us? Can you go on mute? Or I'm going to pick someone else. I'm going to pick Mo. Mo,
Hello.
how you doing?
Yeah,
So
good.
what would you say one thing that maybe, like back to Sam, is like, do you have an industry that maybe you're not taking advantage of?
I think I do actually. I have so many different ways to focus on my business, but that's, let's say, to answer your question, Donna. I come from a very religious background. I even have a degree in theology years and years ago.
Okay.
You
So
know,
what do you do with that? What's different?
I just, well, honestly, myself, I just put in a box and forgot about that. My niche is completely different, but yes,
Come on,
I
we're
could
all
be. Yes.
coaches. We've got our shadow selves. We all know
Yes.
Carl Jung. Bring that to the front. What makes you different? And how can you put that into your business to make you stand out in a busy market? Steve, what
Basically,
about you?
yeah.
Steve,
Hello.
what about you? How you doing? What about you? What is unique about you that maybe that people would gravitate towards you even more, that maybe you're afraid to bring to the front?
Okay, well, to respond to the first part, in a previous life, I was an optometrist for 30 years.
And
So,
are you working with those people?
oh,
Why not?
good question. That's why I'm here. But also what I've discovered about myself is I'm naturally good at business, even though I've never been brought up with
You should be sitting here.
but I'm only really bringing these to the fore as I listen to you talk.
Is anybody starting to think about the market a little bit differently? Is there missed opportunities here? Oh, I can't hear you, Steve.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were talking to me. Sorry, say that again.
So my question then becomes, is there an opportunity here that you're missing?
Yeah, for sure. I suppose at some level, I wanted to leave that profession behind, personally, as it were.
Is
So
it the
maybe,
work that you were doing in that profession or the profession? Why can't you leverage your contacts so you can do what you do? Look, I'm not saying I don't know what you do, but I'm just wondering, is that something you need to be thinking about when it comes to your business?
okay. Well, I since being an optometrist, I've trained as a psychotherapist and then more recently as a coach. So, yeah, there's no reason at all why I couldn't tap into that. But
Okay.
but
So
what I've done in my personal niching is I've gone down the road of using what I've learned about myself personally, my developmental self, to use that as to how I attract clients through niching.
Okay, that is another strategy. Yeah. Well, I'll go on and talk about that. So I'm just conscious of time. I just want to make sure that I'm drawing everybody in and I'm getting through all the points. the two big points there is, have you already got a market that you could be tapping into? And are you even mentioning that in your marketing message? And is there something about you that you're not bringing to the table that you know that, in actual fact, if you integrated that into how you work, that you could stand out in a busy market? Because what I've done is use my ADHD to bring that forward, to make me more unique, to speak in a space where people don't understand it, and what it actually links to commerciality in a space that doesn't have a lot of it. So you can wrap that together. So that's an answer to my first question. I've asked you questions.
So Donna, that is a very narrow niche. In-house lawyers, overwhelmed, undervalued, not heard, and commercially driving force.
Yeah.
What advantages and success has your business had as a result of being so niched?
Yeah, well, thank you, Elena. So it kind of goes back to what I've just been talking about, because I built my business out of seeing a gap. And what I see is some people deciding, oh, I want to be a coach, and then trying to apply being a coach to the world and thinking, oh my God, where do I put this? So the power in the way that I've done it is that I saw the gap. So I became the first and the only person in the market at that time that was offering even coaching specifically for in-house lawyers. But as the market started to get busier and busier and some more people were coming on, I thought, okay, what makes me different than that again, so I can stand out again? Because I was always ahead. I wanted to be always ahead of the crowd. So I had to think more ahead. Again, ADHD brain, thinking beyond the now. And I always felt that I needed to bring something new and novel to the market. So I originally was first of all, I was the lawyer's coach. Then I realized, oh no, I have skills that from in-house, it makes me different. Then I became the in-house lawyer's coach. And then after that, I positioned my opportunity as a leadership. So I wasn't selling coaching, I was selling leadership. And again, that was novel, nothing new in that market. I actually have my course now. It's a signature program through the IAPC&M. So I got that accredited. So I was the first and only accredited in the market. So I kept ahead of it. So the thing to think about is if you are in your market, thinking about how you can be novel within the market. And usually the novel comes from, again, as I say, about who you are and what makes you different and what skills that you can bring in that maybe you don't realize. But the power of that then, that what makes you is kind of an expert. Very quickly, I was starting to be asked to attend events and speak about novel things that was coming into the market that people weren't talking about, or there was people just tethering on talking about it. Whenever I started, there was a whole big thing about empathy. Oh, everybody's like, everybody needs to be empathetic. I went to get a degree and I said, no, you don't need to be empathetic, because I explained to them what bloody empathy was, and that higher empathy actually is the worst thing that you can. So I always took where people were and then edged it above to stay an expert. So I always like keeping your niche a little bit ahead, because my coach says, look, a niche doesn't have to be a life sentence. It just has to be where the market is right now and how you can stand out. But because I had something different and novel, I was talking about things that no one else was talking about. And the other thing was, because I was in that market, back to again, how well do you know your market? As Steve said, he was in an industry, and you probably have loads of market knowledge in that industry, that you know the pains that they actually experience. And you probably, then the question is, like, have you looked at their pains and look at what you do and mapped out and say, actually, can I help with that pain? What is it that I do that can take that pain to a different place? Because if I can do that with the offering that I have, Why on earth am I not selling that to them? So again, knowing the pains, I knew the pains because I was there. I had inside knowledge. I didn't have to spend a lot of money on market research because I knew I was there. I was immersed in them, and I was speaking their language. So easy to get people to come towards you. This is why niching can be really, really great. It can get you to be an expert. It gets you to, and especially in a market that you already know, you speak their language already, they will come towards you. It's like that movie, Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. But you already know it. And they will come. And you start speaking their language, and they will come. Yeah, so I understood the real pain. And because of that, people came towards me and I started to talk about things that they were like, oh my God, finally, there's somebody who understands it. Finally. And people actually could breathe. And also, as I said, if you can link their pains to what you offer, then you have got a unique proposition. I'll talk about that in a little bit more. So that's the power of niching. And
Donna,
yeah,
I'm
go
sorry
ahead.
for interrupting.
No, go on, that's fine.
I wanted to ask you, how do you help people get really clear on their niche and marketing positioning statement?
So I actually, as well as coaching lawyers, I in-house, what I also help is lawyers to become a little bit more independent, because a lot of lawyers that I coach end up coming to me and saying, actually, do you know what? I just want to be more independent and not work for a company. I want to do something different. And I help them set up their consultancy businesses, and I help them get really clear on their marketing message. So I help them get real clarity on who on earth it is that they serve, so they can get their marketing right, which is understanding their niche. I help them understand the pains and to get deeper to understand the pains, because we get some, I'll go through this in a little bit, but sometimes I see, especially coaches as well, all saying the same thing. Oh, like I help people who's got overwhelm or who's got pain, or it's all the same language and it's very superficial. But I help them to get really underneath into the psychological language that they say and how that attaches to their emotions, so it lands within people, not out here. And then what I do is I help them look at that framework within which they offer that to the market. So not selling time for money. It's like a package that's actually got real value attached to it. And then I help them to position that and translate that into a marketing position to get them out there. So it's like, if you've already been established and you've been doing it for a while, and the reason why you're here is because you've maybe not got a little bit of clarity and you need a little bit more clarity, that's what I help you with. And then we get a strategy to build that out. So that's what I help people, like the people who are here today.
Thank you. What mistakes do you see coaches and businesses make that cause them to struggle with their positioning?
With the market positioning, gosh, well, you guys are on here, like, you tell me, but the thing that I see is that sometimes people don't have a really clear focus. They're not really clear about what they're doing and why they're doing it. And then their strategy becomes, oh, I'll go over here and do this for a bit. I'll maybe go over, oh, that hasn't worked, so I'll go over here and try that. And then that can cause real confusion. Does anybody here relate to that? Because I know I did at the start. And then my market, so what was happening then, I was giving out so many different messages that nobody knew really what I'd done. So people would ask me, what the hell do you do, Donna? Because it's not clear. And I thought, well, I need to sort that out. That was at the very start of my business. And then I was trying to be everything to everyone, because if I wasn't getting quick results, because of my personality type, because I wasn't getting quick results, because my strategy was shit, excuse my French, then I would move across and I would try to be, I was a busy fool and I wasn't making any progress. Then I got downtrodden, and then I thought, I want to give up and go and practice law. And I see this all the time. Does anybody else relate to that? See Natasha, Yeah. And it's usually because that purpose and that focus isn't there in the first place. And that's the stuff. You're going to have someone later on talking about strategy. If you don't have that up front, the strategy is tactics. This is purpose. And it's how you show up and be confident in what you do. So you're going to get someone talking about confidence later. What I do is bring that all together. It's like you need your confidence because you need to be confident in what you're offering and that you know the pains of the people that you help and you know, goddamn, that your program changes it and it gets people results. If you have confidence in that and you turn up, you will start attracting people and closing people down really, really quickly.
When coaches are deciding on their niche, what are the top 3 things they need to be thinking about?
Well, as I've just said, you need to be defining your purpose. It can't be linked just being, oh, I'm a coach and I want to help people. Why? You have to be asking the bigger why. What is the purpose behind this? And it's not just the purpose, it's like, what is the impact on the people that you're working with? And then asking the question, well, okay, so what? So what's going to happen for that person if you work with them? And then you need to ask them again and ask yourself another, so what? Because sometimes where you get to is like, oh, like I help lawyers overcome overwhelm. And like, so what? They're not sitting thinking, I'm in overwhelm, I need help. They're sitting thinking, how on earth am I going to get through all this stuff? I'm feeling overloaded. I feel like I can't breathe. That's where they are. And if your purpose is to help, and if you've defined that person to help them breathe and unlock, people will buy that. They'll not buy that, but they will buy into that emotion behind that. The second thing is, I think I've already mentioned it, is about being really clear where you've got credibility. Because as I said earlier on, I see loads of coaches and loads of business owners going, oh, I want to set up a business, and they go out and set it up, and then they don't have a ready-made market. As we talked about, if you already know an industry, and you've worked in it, and people know you, that's where you've got credibility. Otherwise, it's a really painful journey to go out to get to know new people in a market. It's like going to the pub, right? Do you go to the pub to meet your friends? An accepted group of people where you know that you're going to come into and feel loved? That's what you want, rather than just walking into a pub and go, who can I get to speak to me? That's a harder energy to come in at. Mind you, in saying that, I did do that on Saturday night because I couldn't get nobody to come out with me. But anyway, that's just me. The third thing is, as I said, I've got a framework that helps coaches to identify their niche. And I think the key thing is if you know that someone who has done it and done it well and they're being successful from it, copy what they've done, because there's something there. If you don't know what yours is, copy them.
So tell us about your framework. What is it called?
Right, okay, it's a bit cheesy. It's called nail your niche. It's called nail. So basically, nail is name who the hell it is that you're going to be serving. A, as in the A of the nail, is you really got to assess their pains and understand what they want if that pain was overcome. What would be the results that they would get? Sorry, the next bit, is then identify how you solve those pains and the results that they will get from working with you as a result. Yeah. And then number 4, the L is about leveraging that and bringing your uniqueness into that and making sure you're being really, really clear about what's different about you that makes you stand out from the crowd. And sometimes that will be the process that you use to get the result. Sometimes it will be because you understand the pain because you've been there, or you have helped yourself and you've overcome it, so you've got credibility. And sometimes it is that you understand the people, they know you.
Can you give us an example of how someone can name who it is?
Oh, this is a really fun exercise that I do with people. And basically what we do is we build up like an avatar, like a character of the person. Because once you know the character of the person you're speaking to, it's so much easier to speak to them. So if you already know the industry, you kind of know who you're speaking to. If you kind of already know the types of people, you know the kind of characters that will have the problems that you solve. So the questions that some of the questions that I ask, obviously there's a lot, but some of the things that I ask is, who are they? In terms of thinking about who they are, you think about where are they geographically? Maybe where are they in their lives? What stage of their life are they in? Are they in the UK? Are they in Europe? Are they in the EMEA, APAC, universe? That's a very, very big place. But if you've got, I'm not saying anybody on here is, but if you've got like cleaning business, you're not going to say, we clean. And if you're starting off, we say, we clean all the companies in the UK. Very hard for people in Bristol, if you live in Bristol, to relate to that. But if you say, we are the cleaning company in Bristol, guess what? People in Bristol will be going, I'm going to go towards them. So the question is, what is that for your people? The second one is, as we already talked about, are they in a particular industry? If you already know an industry, should you be thinking, actually, do you know what? I'm going to go back to basics here. My market, my niche is so wide. Maybe I need to go back to basics and think for Steve, going into the medical, or sorry, it was Sam going into the medical background. He's like, okay, shall I, close down my niche a little bit? So those people in that market know I exist for them. I know that I understand them, and I understand the pains for them. You can actually narrow that down in your niche. The next one is, as I say, where are they and what stage in their life are they? Are they mid-career? Are they starting out? Are they early career? Are they near retirement? Where are they? Because those people have got different drivers depending on where they are. The next thing to ask is, well, when you think about the type of client that you work with, what personality traits that they have? Like I started off coaching lawyers, and I was getting people coming along that just wanted loads and loads of calls with me, and they weren't ready to take any steps, and they weren't willing to put their hand in their pocket or to invest the time. So what I do is I say, actually, I don't want those people. They're wasting my time. I want people who are ready. I want people who are hungry for change, who've been sitting in the pain for so long they're ready to take action. Do you know where your people are at emotionally before they take the change? And how are you drawing them out in your niching? And again, that goes back to, what do they want? What do they believe? We've had someone here said about faith. What, if you think about your faith, what do people with faith tend to have in common? Language would resonate with them. So this is really, really important to characterize the person. So when you've got that character, you can build up an image of who you're speaking to. So that you're not speaking to the Moes out of EastEnders. An extra fact, you're speaking to the people on the Dallas set who is going to spend more money.
What one tip can you give to ensure they're assessing their problems and goals clearly?
So yeah, okay. So once you've got that person, part of the explanation exercise is that, which is absolutely essential, because this all boils into your positioning statement, your marketing statement. Because after you've named the person, it's really essential to understand the language that will push and pull them. So whenever I started out, I started talking about, I'm helping lawyers with overwhelm who are sick of this shit, but I wasn't giving them any promise. And then I was moving into, I'm helping people being leaders. And they were like, well, okay, that's great. So what I had to learn to do was to give them the push and pull language. My coach calls it red and green language. So the push is the red, the you know, what do they want to move away from, and the pull is what do they want to move into. So I now talk about moving overwhelmed lawyers into a space where they can have freedom, so they can lead the push and pull. Because I don't know, as coaches, you probably know this, that different people are motivated in different ways. Some move from inspiration inside. So you've got the inspired, which is the pull language, and then you've got people who will move into buy-in stuff because they're in pain. So if you have both of that in your marketing positioning, then that will capture those both sides. And it's essential that the pull has got like a result in it. So like mine's leadership, they'll get to leadership, or they'll get freedom, they'll get a result. What is that result? So that's really, really essential to do that. And what I do with people is whenever I sit down, I help you get into the real depth of that language and to get into their head, really, and not to have the superficial language that everybody else is using.
Once they've identified this, what tips can you give, please?
And just before we move on to that, so
Sure.
What I wanted to say there on the last one was like the differences. I do have a couple of notes here. So like I see people saying, I help overwhelmed people, and then the people's defined into the whatever industry or whatever that, and that isn't getting into people's head. As I say, people are not sitting thinking, I'm overwhelmed. For example, the in-house lawyers that I work with, they think they don't give a shit about me, as in the business. Sorry, my language is atrocious, but that is what they're saying in their head. Like, how many times have you said that language in your head about other people not caring, or whatever that sentence is? You need to get into what's in there. So your kind of marketing position then goes from, I help X person, X being the lawyers or whoever they are, to go from Y to Z. So you're mentioning the push and the pull. So in your marketing statement, if you haven't got something like that, then you're not taking your market hasn't been able to identify that you can help them on the journey that you can take them on and the result. So just going back to your question, so your question was, what was it again? Once you've identified the pains and where you take them to, so yeah, so my question then is, who here sells their time for money? Do you have a package? You have a package. And whenever you're building your package, how are you pricing it? Are you pricing it because of the time that you spend delivering it? Natasha, if we could come on, it's just that I see people nodding, but it'd be great to hear.
Hi, Donna. Hi, everyone. I just put it in a chat as well. I don't know, maybe my situation is a little bit different. I it's still in full-time employment, but you know, starting to build things on the side. So I do have a few diplomas in coaching, 3 and an accreditation as well at the MCC. So it's not like I'm coming new, but maybe more I listen to you, more I understand that.
Just ask you, Natasha, are you actually selling anything at the moment?
In part, so I do have a one-to-one.
Whenever you are selling in part, what are you selling? Are you saying, I sell 4 hours for £800? Let's just say, for example. Is that what you do?
Yeah, it will be packages in terms of
And
like,
how do you then price your packages?
yeah, it would be on time for sure. It would be
Okay.
like,
You need to stop. You need to stop that right now. Because what you are doing is diminishing the value and the results that you get people. I used to sell my time for money, but it isn't, you shouldn't be valuing your packages with regards to the amount of time. It should be the results and the value that they get as a result from working with you. Like I started off charging £185 an hour for lawyers, like top earners. And then I was working out how many hours do I work with these people? Maybe 6 hours direct time. And then I was working that out. And I was like, that's okay, I can do that. What I didn't realize was the amount of time that I was spending in between, how much time that I spent building this knowledge and the know-how, and the actual results where people were careers were like moving from like maybe 90k to 150k. And I was giving them coaching packages of £800. No, I said no. So what is the value that this package will give them? So my packages are now £8,000 for 6 months. Massive difference. And I'm not spending any more time. And guess what? People are paying for it because they're paying for the result. They're not paying for my time. So what I do is help people stop charging time for money and helping you link your value to the results that you bring. But before you do that, you need to do the work beforehand to understand what is that result. And you need to understand the process that you take people through and how much time and money that you've put into that. Because that's amortized costs, really, that you're not recovering. It's like, how much time have you spent in building that? How much time and money have you spent in training? That is way above your time now. And you're not building that into your commercial model, which I can help you do.
Oh, sorry, that was a question to me. I was taking
No,
notes. And
it wasn't a question. It was just like saying,
sorry.
you know, that trying to hone that message in, really.
And Donna, any tips to define uniqueness, please?
Well, as I say earlier on, is once to define your uniqueness is really to define your purpose. And I know people say, "Oh, define your purpose." But in reality, it isn't really your purpose, it's your branding. It's like who you are and what you represent to this world. And to not to be afraid to step out and say it. Like I see, and I forgive me, but in this world, there's too many people afraid to step out and present themselves because we are in a time where people are in a lot of fear of speaking out. But that doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't speak out with the things that are important, that you know that can bring value. And that's really, really important to then, when you're doing your purpose, to really bring that out. And once you know your purpose, you also know your branding, you know what you stand for, you know your value system, you know the kind of people that you want to work with, the people that you don't want to work with, you know how you go about doing things, your package, you know what's different about your package, what's it different about your approach. And that all needs to be blended into your uniqueness. And that is all should be set out in your positioning statement, your marketing position statement. So you can get from, I coach people with headaches to having headaches no more, to actually what I do is through this unique process, I help you, I don't even help, whatever that word is, I help you get from worrying about if you're going to have another headache today to being thriving in your career or thriving, whatever, because that's what people will buy into, not, oh, I don't want to have a headache.
And what can you do to help our attendees today?
Well, and one thing that I've done is set up a little offer, but you didn't know this was coming, to help coaches who are confused with their niche, or maybe not sure how to position themselves in the market or how to package what you do that actually sells. So if that's you and you're here, I can help you cut through that confusion, get really clear in your niche and your position and statement. And you will walk away with me, if you work with me, with a really clear, a real clear purpose. You get really, really clear on your purpose, on your branding. You know who you're going to be speaking to. You're going to know why you're speaking to those people. Your confidence will raise. People will draw in towards you more. And I help you do that through defining what that is for you, what's different about you, and then putting that into a marketing positioning statement. And then from that, I also help you build out a content plan. And we look at your package as well and see if your package is really, really something that's sellable. And it might be something that just tightening that up or giving it a name that, you know, people that will buy into it. So what I've got is I'm running a 6-week program. It is 6 sessions, 1-to-1, personal. It isn't a group thing because it's individual, because this is very, very individual, private stuff. And I usually charge $2,500 for that. But what I'm doing is offering that out to people just here for 1,695. If you want to have a chat with me to see how that might work for you, and if you might be thinking, okay, that could be something that I might want to do, I've just put a link in the chat and you can book a call with me and we can talk through how that 6 weeks would look for you, because you might not need all of that, but we can allocate the time to the areas that you really, really need.
This sounds like a great offering. Thank you. And if someone listening wants to take action tomorrow, what's the first step?
So with everything that I've said, if there was an area of that stood out to you to say, I need to take action on that, that would be the thing that you take action on. Because some people here might have their brand and they might know their purpose. So I'm not going to say start with your purpose. You might already know that, but whatever part of that stood out to you most and you thought, I bloody need that, start there and book a call with me and we can look at how you can tighten that up. But the big thing that I will say is that niching isn't about narrowing your opportunity. It's about focusing in on and being really, really clear about how clients will come to you and how you will make more, not more money. It's about, well, money is important. Let's, you know, we talk about purpose, but part of our purpose can be, actually, I need to provide for my family. I need to pay for the roof over my head. So that might be important. But the action that I would say is whatever part of that stood out to you the most, start there.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
We have the next 10 minutes left, which we can dedicate to any questions from the audience. We will attend to the ones in the chat box first, and then if anyone else wants to chip in, please feel free to unmute yourselves. I see that the first question is from Natasha. Natasha, you spoke partially, but was your question answered, or shall we attend to it once more?
If Donna has any more additional things to share, I know Donna mentioned that you were in that position as well when you started to with coaching, you were in employment. So I'm just curious, what would be, I don't know, top 3 tips for somebody who is in full-time employment and wants to launch and grow a coaching business?
Well, I would ask you, I don't do tips. I ask you, come on, I'm a coach. I'll be asking you, what's your biggest challenge?
Identifying the niche, because that is my biggest challenge.
Okay, so I've put a link in the chat. Book that and let's get a chat in.
the next question is from Olivier. Olivier, are you feeling comfortable to unmute yourself and ask your question directly to Donna?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Elena. So my question was about one of the first points which were mentioned in the call today, which was about what is making you unique and stand out. So I think I have my niche pretty much identified. But then to answer this question, what makes me unique about it was probably the point where I was kind of struggling to answer today.
Okay, and what question would you like to ask me?
So how can I find out, what is making me unique and what are my strengths and where I can say, oh, this is my unique value that probably make me stand out from competition and on the market.
So you want to know how you can work out what's unique about you?
Yeah.
I would say you need to do that purpose work, the initial part, that like doing that deep dive into and getting a little bit of maybe coaching and guidance on that, because it's really hard to pull out yourself. I had to work with someone else to help me with that. One of the things that I did do, which could be a tip, was I asked my clients and who I've worked with, is what was it about me that you enjoyed working with? Because people will tell you, and once you start to know that and you're getting some consistency, then you will know. But what they won't see, Olivier, is this stuff that you're hiding. Like you mentioned about your faith and how you can bring that in. Like until today, did you even think about that?
But this wasn't me. This was more, I think, the faith.
Sorry?
You mentioned the faith, right?
Yeah.
No, this wasn't me. This was coming from someone else. I think.
Someone else. Okay, sorry. Yeah, well,
it's okay.
I think that's a good place to start, to ask your clients what is different. Like every single time I work with a client, I ask them, I get a review and I ask them that question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Very helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, it was Mo. It was Mo that asked that question.
It was me, yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. Can I ask you a question now? Is there anyone before me?
It doesn't look like there is there?
Please go ahead, Mo.
Thank you very much. So Donna, it's about the pricing part. Just for context, I am already working with a coach, and this week I was doing the niche part. I was able to narrow everything down. But one thing that stuck from what you told me, it was what he told me as well, was focus on the niche that can afford your service, right? But I had like three main niches. I focused on the niche that I know that would be able to afford the package that I'm building.
And can I just interrupt you? I'm just going to interrupt you. Sorry. Have you got credibility in that space?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
it is a niche that I'm very familiar with, and I know that the money is there. But there is that feeling of, oh my God, I'm leaving those other two niches out. So my question here is, would you eventually like prepare a smaller package to touch on all the niches that you would like to be working with?
No, I would recommend.
Okay. So what would you recommend then?
I would recommend you go all in on the one that you know that can afford you, because that's going to like, let's just think about this, right? Where do you promote what you do?
So basically, it's for corporate workers. So that would be more on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So think about this, right? So you've got, let's say, Sam and me and Olivia and Natasha and Anne are all your different niches. And you're speaking to me on a Monday, you're speaking to Sam on a Tuesday, you're speaking to Natasha on a Wednesday. Guess what's going to happen? I'm not going to come to you, because I'll be like, this guy, what is he? You're not talking to me. You're talking to me on all these other people. So what you're doing is actually watering down your opportunity. And as I said earlier on, like, and my coach has said to me, like, your niche doesn't have to be a prison sentence. You go all in on one and then you grow out from there, because the really smart thing to do, and this is what I think is smart, is go all in on the one that you know, where you've got more credibility and people can afford. And then what you do is you scale that to a place where maybe they don't need you anymore. You get people in, you start to bring profits in, then move out across here. And that's whenever you start to scale and grow your business. That's not where you start.
Okay, so what you are saying is we start like with very focused, and if I see the need or the want to scale out as I progress, that would be the move, yeah?
I would suggest that. But my question to you is, what is causing you to ask that question?
It's actually limiting belief, like it's very
Oh,
important
see
because,
that
for
sentence,
example,
limiting belief? Throw that in the bin.
exactly,
What
exactly.
is it exactly? Don't name it. Tell me what it is.
No, so basically, I am working like with a coach in the US, and I know that they make big money there in comparison to the money that we do in the industry that I'm working with in here. But today, it's very important to hear you because I'm in Ireland, you are in the UK, and you just told us the package that you offer, and you proved to me that people pay this kind of money in Europe as well. So I had this limiting belief that people in the US was paying much more because they made more money. And now like I got the evidence that actually it's bullshit. Sorry, my French.
Oh, no, yeah, it's all French.
Yeah.
No,
So yeah, that was my limiting belief. I didn't believe that people here in the actual situation would pay these high ticket prices in comparison to other sides of the world.
Well, then that means, my question is, well, what evidence did you have to suggest that? And how can you go out and find the evidence to know how to position your pricing? Because I went out and asked.
No, so
What paying.
I can find the evidence like
That's
today
easy to
was a
me.
big evidence, and for me I paid the high price to get the coach in the US, so like if I am paying, other people would pay as well.
Definitely.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that very common is undervaluing yourself through giving what's the word, through charging your time. No,
Yeah.
what is the value they get? I find it hard, like it's that pricing thing. It's like, oh, should I be even asking for that? That's really, really cheeky. But the way I done it was like to slowly increase, and then after that I thought, nah, I'll just go on out and say this is my price. And when I came in with real certainty, knowing that was delivering results, that whenever I said the price, it was my certainty that made them buy in, not the actual figure.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you very much. You answered my question.
And we have a comment from Olivia in the chat box sharing, I'm having the same belief as Mo, and I am French.
Yeah, but I don't think it's geography. It's like what Mo has said. It's like, do you really understand the value? If people say it's a limiting belief, I'm like, oh my God, stop labeling things and just let's break this down practically, because that's how I work. I'm practical. Okay, so how do we find out what people are prepared to pay? Let's take actionable steps here. So, Olivia, how can you find out what people are prepared to pay in your market?
I think I had the same belief as Mo, which is, the grass is always greener in the US, so people will pay and will be ready. And there is a coaching culture that is greater than France, for example. I'm French and I live in Spain, so it's hard here. But I like one of the last sentences you said. You said, "What is the value they get from it?" And this is what I should position basically, and the transformation and where you take them for coaching.
Yeah. And it's like, so whenever I work with lawyers, one of the things they say is like, oh, I'm not valued. They don't value me. Oh. And I would say, well, how much do you value yourself? Are you willing to reduce and minimize yourself? because you might think that someone might not see the value in you. Well, if you're not seeing the value in what you do, because you haven't done the work to work out the results that people can actually get and measure that, if you haven't done the work to understand what other people actually are willing to pay to understand your value, then they won't.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Thanks.
Everyone, we are coming to the end of our masterclass. I just wanted to check in for any last minute questions before we close off.
I've just put the link. I realized that I had been putting the link to you, Elena, and not in the chat.
Okay.
So I've put the link in the chat for people to book a chat with me. So if you do have any other questions, take advantage on that, and we can then on that chat to work out where your gaps are, and then we can look at how that 6-week program can work for you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Donna, so much for today's incredibly insightful masterclass. I wish everyone well, and do take care. Bye-bye.